Mitali Varadkar, and today we are going to study SYPCom Module 1, Chapter 2. Chapter 2, that is Elasticity of Demand. So as we learn elasticity, it is assumed कि हम सब ने already we have learned about law of demand. Correct? What is law of demand? Simple. It is an individual behavior as well as because it is individual behavior, it is also market behavior. That is, whenever prices are high, you will tend to buy less. That is, the demand will be less. And whenever prices are low, you will tend to buy more. The demand will be more. Right? This is the basic of elasticity of demand. So when we know this is the जैसे कि जब भी हमको plus minus सीखना होता है, you need to know numbers 1 to 100 numbers जब आपको पता होंगे तभी आप plus minus सीख पाओगे. Same way to learn elasticity of demand, we need to know what is law of demand. Correct? So in normal term, we say that there is negative relationship between price and demand. Whenever relationship between two variables, your two variables are price and demand. Whenever the relationship between two variables is negative, we say that अगर उसका आपको graphical presentation करना है, तो हम कहेंगे we will have a downward sloping demand curve. Correct? So let's start with elasticity of demand. Okay. So as law of demand was given by Alfred Marshall, same the elasticity of demand concept is also given by Alfred Marshall in 1890. Okay. So let us see what he wants to tell us. Elasticity is change in demand due to change in factors affecting demand. Okay. Basically demand पे बहुत सारे अलग-अलग factors affect करते हैं जिसकी वजह से demand change होता है. We have studied different determinants of demand. Correct? Price है, income है, fashion, advertisement. ये सारे factors affect करते हैं demand को, जिससे demand change होता है. लेकिन law of demand हमको सिर्फ बोलता है कि demand either upward change होगा या downward change होगा. That is, demand will either increase or decrease. Law of demand fails to tell us how much demand will change. Correct? So how much जो question है उसका आंसर हमको देता है elasticity of demand. In simple terms, elasticity is nothing but the responsiveness of demand. देखिए आप क्लास में होते हैं तब सोचिए आपने बहुत ज्यादा कुछ मस्ती किया, बहुत आवाज किया, बहुत शोर किया, तो टीचर आके आपको डांटेगी. There are say 7, 8 और say 50 students in the class. टीचर आके आपको डांटेगी. जब टीचर डांटेगी, that is one action, right? अब इस action का reaction she will get from the class. Right? 50 students will give her some or other reaction. Some students का reaction correct नहीं होगा, same नहीं होगा. Everyone will react in a different manner. किसी को बहुत बुरा लग जाएगा, तो किसी को कुछ फर्क ही नहीं पड़ेगा. कोई हंसेगा, तो कोई रोएगा. Can you see? हंसना and रोना are two extreme reactions, are two extreme responses teacher is getting. Same way, in a similar way, जब price, जब income या any other factor which affects demand, जब change होगा, तो demand will react. ये जो demand react करेगा, ये जो demand response करेगा, उसी को हम कहेंगे elasticity of demand. So elasticity का मतलब क्या है? It is nothing but the responsiveness of demand, right? Before we go ahead, I just want to know, सबको मेरा आवाज ठीक से सुनाई दे रहा है? Just type in your chat box yes or no. Yes, सबको मेरा आवाज ठीक से सुनाई दे रहा है? And during the lecture, whatever queries, whatever questions you have, please note them down. अपने book में लिख लीजिए. End of the lecture, we'll give you 10-15 minutes जहाँ पे we can chat and we can solve all the questions. Right? जो भी questions है आप हम lecture के end में solve करेंगे. Fine, can we go ahead now? Great. So definition. This is the general definition of elasticity of demand, right? Second, देखिए क्या कह रहा है? It is the responsiveness of demand due to change in the factors affecting demand. मैंने ये आपको अभी explain किया कि responsiveness of demand जो है, that is known as elasticity of demand, right? Let's go back. Let's rewind a little bit. Law of demand tells us प्राइस बढ़ेगा, डिमांड कम होगा, प्राइस कम होगा, डिमांड बढ़ेगा. देयर इज अ नेगेटिव रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन प्राइस एंड डिमांड. लॉ ऑफ डिमांड फेल्स टू टेल अस how much demand will change, right? Price 5 रुपए से बढ़ा तो डिमांड कितना कम होगा? डिमांड कम होगा, ये हमको लॉ ऑफ डिमांड ने बताया, बट कितना कम होगा? डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा कम होगा या डिमांड से थोड़ा सा कम होगा? This question will be answered when we study elasticity of demand, correct? So okay, see, there are some 4 types of elasticities which we are supposed to study today. One is price elasticity of demand, income elasticity of demand, cross elasticity of demand, and promotional elasticity of demand. Right? ये 4 elasticities हमको पढ़ना है. Basically, during all this, remember elasticity is word का meaning क्या है? It is the response demand is given due to changes in any factor. It can be price, can be income, can be price of other commodity or promotional. Correct? Sure. Okay. So first we are going to study about price elasticity of demand. Right? So we all know that there is a negative relationship between price and demand, right? Here we are trying to study about microeconomics. आपने पढ़ा है 11th 12th में. Here we are trying to study about microeconomics, where we are studying about 2 variables, right? हम बहुत सारे वेरिएबल्स की पढ़ाई नहीं कर रहे, हम सिर्फ यहाँ पे 2 वेरिएबल्स की पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं. 2 वेरिएबल्स को स्टडी करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. One variable is price and the other variable is demand. Price and demand, इन 2 वेरिएबल में याद रखना है हमको, price is independent variable, whereas demand is dependent variable. That is, demand depends on price. Price demand से depend नहीं कर रहा यहाँ, right? Price is independent variable and demand is dependent. That is, demand depends on price. Price में जो variation होगा, price कम होगा ज्यादा होगा, उसके ऊपर demand depend करेगा, उसके ऊपर demand affect करेगा, right? So price elasticity of demand is the degree of responsiveness of demand to the change in price. मतलब price change होने की वजह से demand का responsiveness कितना है, that is known as price elasticity of demand, right? Price increase हुआ 5 rupees से, right? Earlier price was say 10 rupees. अभी price increase हुआ 5 rupees से, that is the new price is how much? The new price is rupees 15. जैसे ही price 15 हो गया, different sections of the society will demand differently. Some will not change their demand. Some will change their demand drastically. Right? We need to study this. This is known as elasticity of demand. We have been given a formula which is very easy. PED, that stands for price elasticity of demand, equal to percentage or proportionate change in demand divided by percentage or proportionate change in price, right? डिमांड में जो चेंज हुआ है उसको आपको डिवाइड करना है चेंज इन प्राइस से और आपको प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ डिमांड समझेगा. Have you understood what is price elasticity of demand? Now let's just go ahead with this formula. इस formula को थोड़ा और हम ठीक से पढ़ते हैं. देखिए, again, price elasticity of demand equals to percentage or proportionate change in demand divided by percentage or proportionate change in price. Right? So now what do I want is I want percentage change in demand. हमें percentage change in demand कैसे मिलेगा? Change in quantity demanded by change in quantity demanded by change in original quantity will give us percentage change in demand. So can you see the mark which we have? This is known as delta. Yes, मैथमेटिकली इसको हम डेल्टा कहेंगे और इसका मीनिंग क्या है? इसका मीनिंग है चेंज इन. या आपको जनरल लाइफ में अगर आप बिजनेस न्यूज चैनल कभी देखते हैं तो उसके नीचे वो स्टिकर्स छापते रहते हैं. देखिए, दे टेल यू अबाउट स्टॉक, राइट? तो निफ्टी में दिखाएंगे ग्रीन स्टॉक, ग्रीन कलर का मार्क होगा, इट इज गोइंग अपवर्ड, दैट इज निफ्टी के स्टॉक्स आर रेट्स आर इंक्रीजिंग. सेम वे कभी कभी आपको दिखाई देगा रेड कलर का मार्क व्हिच इज डाउनवर्ड, दैट इज शोइंग निफ्टी का स्टॉक्स आर गोइंग, रेट इज गोइंग डाउनवर्ड, राइट? सो बेसिकली दिस the sign is called delta and what does this mean? इसका मतलब होता है change in. तो यहाँ पे जो change in है did not be upward or downward. हम नहीं कह रहे कि change upward हुआ या downward हो रहा है, हम कह रहे हैं सिर्फ change हुआ है. Change can be anything, either increase हुआ है price या decrease हुआ है, right? So Basically we are going to solve this formula. ये formula को हम और ठीक से solve करने वाले हैं. So for that we need percentage change in demand. हमको percentage change in demand कैसे मिलेगा देखिए. Delta Q by delta Q. Right? Delta Q means what? I'm sorry. Delta Q by Q. What is delta Q? Delta Q का मतलब है change in quantity demanded. Right? Change in quantity demanded divided by the original quantity. So earlier 5 kg and now they are demanding 10 kg. So 10 kg is the change in demand. So delta Q will be how much? 10. And how much was the original demand? 5 kg. So Q will be 5. Same way, this whole thing we have to divide by delta P by T. Right? This is nothing but delta P stands for change in price divided by the original price. हमने कुछ टाइम पहले कहा था original price was 10, price बढ़ के 15 हो गया था, right? So delta P will be 15 and P, that is original price, will be 10. So let's solve this mathematically. हम इसको सिर्फ solve करने की कोशिश करते हैं. इसमें कोई कुछ भी difficult नहीं है, इसमें बिल्कुल डरना नहीं है इससे, right? So इसको भी just trying to solve. तो जो हमने ऐसे ही लिख लिया, देखिए यहाँ पे डेल्टा Q by Q, राइट. अभी इनटू हमने किया है, ये जो डिनोमिनेटर है हम उसको इनटू करने की कोशिश करें. जब भी आप डिनोमिनेटर को इनटू करेंगे, ये जो डिनोमिनेटर का डिनोमिनेटर है वो ऊपर आ जाएगा. ये आपने 8, 9, 10 में पढ़ा होगा मैथमेटिक्स का फॉर्मूला, राइट. तो हेंस यहाँ पे जो ओरिजिनल प्राइस है वो ऊपर आ गया और डेल्टा पी है वो नीचे चला गया, राइट. दिस इज द ओनली स्टेप which you need to remember. बाकी आगे it's nothing, just simplification. Moving ahead, what we have done here is now हमने सब स्ट्रेट लिख दिया. कैसे लिख दिया देखिए, डेल्टा Q into P divided by Q into delta P, right. अभी हम just rewriting it in a different mode, right. So next देखिए 4 into 2 लिखिए या 2 into 4 लिखिए, आंसर इज सेम. यहाँ हमने वही किया है, डेल्टा Q into P divided by delta P into Q. Can you see this denominator? हमने सिर्फ इसको जगह चेंज किया है. We are just rewriting this equation. कुछ भी इसमें डिफिकल्ट नहीं है. And finally हम वापस उसको अलग अलग से लिख रहे हैं. That is P delta Q by delta P into P by Q. This is your final formula for elasticity, price elasticity of demand. Correct? So see, what does this formula mean? Change in quantity by change in price into original price by original quantity. Correct? Okay. Let's go ahead. So I have a question for all of you. So whatever we have studied, उसके ऊपर ये question है. You just have to pick up the correct option answer and write it in the chat box. The question for all of you is, you can read in your PPT. The price elasticity of demand is defined as the responsiveness of. Yes, your answer. Option A is price to a change in demand. B, quantity demanded to change in price. C, price to change in income. And price demanded to change in income. Yes. Can you answer the correct option answer for me? Yes, chat box में write the correct option answer. Right, the correct option answer is B, simply because quantity demanded by change in price. Remember the formula which we have used, quantity demanded था, उसको हमने किससे divide किया था? By price. Hence the correct option answer is B. Right? चलिए, now let's go to the next slide. So now we know basically what is price elasticity of demand. Right, basically हमको पता है what is price elasticity of demand. That is price change होने की वजह से demand किस तरह respond करेगा. So now देखिए, demand respond करने के generally 5 types Alfred Marshall ने हमको बताया. Right, so there are 5 types of price elasticity of demand. namely perfectly elastic demand, perfectly inelastic demand, unitarily elastic demand, relatively elastic demand, and relatively inelastic demand. You need to study all of them in detail. तो हमको समझेगा कि प्राइस किस तरह से रिएक्ट कर रहा है, राइट? इन जनरल मतलब क्या है? वेदर प्राइस जैसे रिएक्शन हमने कहा था क्लासरूम में हमको मिलेगा, कोई हंसेगा तो कोई रोएगा, कोई कुछ रिएक्ट नहीं करेगा, कोई किसी को बुरा लगेगा, राइट? तो यही अलग अलग टाइप्स है प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ डिमांड. लेट्स स्टडी द फर्स्ट वन, which is perfectly elastic demand. When a very small change in price brings about an infinite change in demand, it is known as perfectly elastic demand. Can you understand the meaning of elastic? ये जो लड़कियां बांधने के लिए रबर यूज करती है, इलास्टिक. इलास्टिक मीन्स ये बहुत स्ट्रेच हो सकता है, राइट? आप एक रबर बैंड लीजिए, उसको स्ट्रेच कीजिए, इट इज इलास्टिक. आप एक थ्रेड लीजिए नॉर्मल, थ्रेड के 2 एंड बांध लीजिए, अभी इसको स्ट्रेच करने की कोशिश कीजिए, ये स्ट्रेच नहीं होगा, मीनिंग दिस नॉर्मल थ्रेड इज इन इलास्टिक, राइट? whereas the rubber band is elastic. what is happening in this situation is प्राइस में थोड़ा सा भी चेंज हो जाए, डिमांड इनफाइनाइट रिस्पॉन्ड कर रहा है, डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा रिस्पॉन्ड कर रहा है, राइट? इट इज नोन एज परफेक्टली इलास्टिक डिमांड. Here we say that perfectly elastic demand equals to infinite. Can you see मैंने नीचे लिखा है CED equals to infinite. That sign is infinite. मतलब कितना भी प्राइस रिएक्ट, कितना भी डिमांड रिएक्ट कर सकता है. हम इसका डायग्राम लिखेंगे तो हमको और अच्छी तरह से समझेगा. Yes, perfectly elastic demand. Can you see on y-axis we have price. Why do we have price on y-axis? Simply because price is independent variable. जो भी whenever you draw a diagram, जो भी independent variable होता है, that is always on y-axis, right? And demand is on x-axis, which depends on price. It is a dependent variable. You have price on y-axis and demand on x-axis. Whenever you draw a diagram, make sure you draw diagram like this. जैसे कि हमने y लिखा है, उसको arrow किया है, y लिखा है, x लिखा है, पहले arrow करना है लाइन को, फिर x लिखना है. Origin को मार्क करना is extremely important. Correct? So here if you see our demand curve is a horizontal straight line. DD is our demand curve, which is horizontal straight line, which means price में थोड़ा सा भी change हो जाए, right? Price is here right now. Price अगर बढ़ गया, you cannot define कि demand में कितना change होगा. Demand infinite कितना भी, just x can extend आगे, demand will extend to infinite. कितना भी demand change हो सकता है. So whenever the price elasticity of demand is perfectly elastic, the demand curve will always be horizontal straight line, which will be parallel to the x-axis. Right? ये हमको याद रखना. And how do you show elasticity of demand? That is ED stands for elasticity of demand equals to infinite. This is the very first type of price elasticity of demand. So on to the next one, we have perfectly inelastic demand. So now price elasticity, perfectly elastic is here, so perfectly inelastic is the other corner, right? The world of the two axes, one is north and one is south. Same way, perfectly elastic is one axis and perfectly inelastic is the other axis, right? अच्छा, अर्थ के साउथ पोल और नॉर्थ पोल पे कोई रहता है? नो. सिचुएशंस आर नॉट फिजिबल जहाँ हम रह सके. तो हम रहते कहाँ है? बिटवीन नॉर्थ पोल एंड साउथ पोल. Same way in real life, in real market situations, perfectly elastic and perfectly inelastic are pole situations which may not exist in reality. The reality will be between perfectly elastic and perfectly inelastic. Correct? So the other pole is, the other extreme situation is what? Perfectly inelastic demand. For an see the definition. Whatever may be the change in price, quantity demanded remains absolutely unchanged. मतलब यहाँ पे डिमांड बिल्कुल भी रिएक्ट नहीं कर रहा, प्राइस कितना भी बढ़ जाए या प्राइस कितना भी कम हो जाए, डिमांड इज नॉट रिएक्टिंग एट ऑल टू द चेंज इन प्राइस. Here, demand responsiveness is zero. That is perfectly inelastic demand. Hence, how do we denote it as PED? That is price elasticity of demand equals to zero. Why is it zero? Because demand is not responding. Elasticity is zero. Demand का responsiveness बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. Right? So, let's see the diagram for this. Okay. Let's see the diagram. Again, price is independent variable, hence it is on y-axis, and quantity demanded is dependent variable, hence it is on x-axis. Now here, can you see we have this demand curve. BD is your demand curve, right? BD is the demand curve, which is a vertical straight line parallel to y-axis. So what is happening here? People are demanding OD, right? People, लोगों का demand क्या है? Market demand is OD. State market demand or state individual demand, right? It is OD. प्राइस कितना भी चेंज हो, प्राइस 0 हो, प्राइस 100 हो, प्राइस 200 हो, 1000 हो, people are going to demand OD. That's it. That's it, right? So this is nothing but means demand is not responding at all to the change in price. Hence we have written here elasticity of demand is 0, right? And here the demand curve is a vertical straight line which is parallel to the y-axis. Parallel to the y-axis, correct? So see, so far we have studied about two types. One is perfectly elastic, the second one is perfectly inelastic. As I said, these two are pole situations, right? North pole, south pole situation. Reality will always lie between perfectly elastic demand and perfectly inelastic demand. Now, where will be the reality? Let's see the next slide. Yes. This is unitarily elastic demand. This can be also called as unitary elastic demand or unitarily. LY add किया नहीं किया तो same. Right? Unitarily elastic demand or unitary elastic demand. So when change in price brings an exact proportionate change in demand, right? That is known as unitarily elastic demand. Now, what do we mean by this? Simple है. जितना प्राइस में चेंज हुआ है एग्जैक्टली उतना चेंज डिमांड में हुआ, देन इट विल बी नोन एज यूनिटरीली इलास्टिक डिमांड. लेट्स सी द डायग्राम सो यू विल अंडरस्टैंड इट प्रॉपर्ली. See, while drawing this diagram, you have to be little careful. How to draw this diagram, I'll tell you in a while. First, let us understand what does this diagram mean. Okay. So see, the original price was OP1. Can everyone see? Original price is OP1. When price was OP1, people were demanding OQ1. Correct? Price was OP1 and people were demanding OQ1. So due to some reason, X, Y, Z, whatever reason, price increased from P1 to P2. Now the new price is how much? OP2. अभी प्राइस बढ़ गया तो डिमांड तो कम होना ही है. दैट इज द बेसिक लॉ ऑफ डिमांड, राइट? हियर यू कैन सी की प्राइस बढ़ने की वजह से डिमांड कम हो गया है. डिमांड पहले जो OQ1 था वो अभी हो गया OQ2, राइट? तो सिंपल चीज है, यहाँ पे हम क्या दिखाना चाहते हैं, जितना प्राइस इंक्रीज हुआ the distance between P1 and P2 is equal to the distance between Q1 and Q2. जितना प्राइस इंक्रीज हुआ है एग्जैक्टली उतना डिमांड फॉल हुआ, राइट? Hence, this is known as unitary elastic demand. Now, why unitary? So let's look at the formula. See, here we have written change in prices by 10%. Why have we used 10%? Simply because the formula जो हमको दिया गया है, that formula says price elasticity of demand equals to percentage or proportionate, right? Just to make it easy, I have said 10%. So here the change in price is by 10%. That is P1 से P2 जब प्राइस बढ़ा, ये प्राइस कितने से बढ़ा है? 10% से बढ़ा, राइट? अभी ये प्राइस 10% से बढ़ने की वजह से डिमांड हुआ, दैट इज ऑल्सो बाय 10%. दैट इज Q1 से जो Q2 गया, दैट इज अगेन 10%. Now let's put this in the formula. Our formula says price elasticity of demand equals to percentage change in demand divided by percentage change in price. Right? Let's just put how much is the percentage change in demand? 10%. 10% divided by how much is the percentage change in price? 10%. Right? So 10 equals to 1. Right? Hence 1. 1 is what? Unit. Hence this elasticity is known as unitary elasticity of demand or unitarily elastic demand. Now, important point. How will you draw this diagram? Simple चीज है. First देखिए, पहले हम x axis, y axis draw करेंगे. X axis को arrow करना भूलना नहीं है. Y axis को arrow करेंगे. You will write x, y here, and here you will mark the origin saying O. On x axis we have demand, or you can also write quantity demanded. Y-axis we will write price. Okay. Now, let's just make points. We have to be sure कि distance between x2 and x1 is same, and distance between p1 and p2 is same. So on the x-axis, आप point कर लीजिए 2 centimeter 2 centimeter. On y-axis point कर लीजिए 2 centimeter 2 centimeter. Right? ये 2 centimeter का पहले perpendicular draw कीजिए. P2 को ज्वाइन कीजिए Q2 से और P1 को ज्वाइन कीजिए Q1 से. आपको ये जो A और B, ये जो दो पॉइंट मिलेंगे, इन दो पॉइंट को आप ज्वाइन कीजिए. ये जो आपका डिमांड कर्व होगा, that will be called as unitarily elastic demand curve, right? आप ये जब डिमांड कर्व ड्रॉ करेंगे, just be little careful, make sure that the distance between P1 P2 and Q1 Q2 is same. This is the only diagram in which you have to draw perpendicular first and then the demand curve. Usually whenever we draw diagrams, you always draw demand curve first or supply curve first and then the perpendiculars, right? This is the only diagram where you are supposed to draw perpendiculars first followed by the demand curve, so that this distance will be same. Right? This is unitary elastic demand. Now let's go to the next one. Next type. That is relative elastic demand. Now what is relatively elastic demand? When change in price brings more than proportionate change in demand. It is known as relatively elastic demand. Okay. Now we take whole situation, right? So say this is perfectly elastic and this is perfectly inelastic. Unitary elastic is exactly in the center, right? Elastic and unitary elastic के बीच में जो है, that is known as relatively elastic, meaning it is responding more. And unitary elastic, that is center, midpoint, and perfectly inelastic के जो पास है, ये बीच में जो है, we will call that as relatively inelastic. मतलब ये relatively कम respond कर रहा है. So whatever it is relatively elastic is responding more, and whatever it is relatively inelastic is responding less. So first let's look at relatively elastic demand. When change in price brings about more than proportionate change in demand, it is known as relatively elastic demand. Let's look at the diagram. Now when you draw this diagram, remember perfectly elastic जो demand curve हमने बनाया था, that was a horizontal straight line. So horizontal के पास, closer to horizontal क्या होगा? A flatter demand curve, right? Horizontal straight line के पास, closer will be a flatter demand curve. So for relatively elastic demand, we are supposed to draw flatter demand curve. Flatter demand curve किस तरह draw करेंगे? बहुत आसान है. पहले y axis x axis बना लीजिए. y axis के mid से start कीजिए demand curve draw करना till the end of x axis. You will get flatter demand curve. Now why flatter? See, original price was OP1, right? When price was OP1, quantity demanded was OQ1, right? Due to some reason, price increased. Price अभी हो गया OP2. जैसे ही प्राइस इंक्रीज हो गया, गया, डिमांड रिड्यूस हो गया, डिमांड कम हो गया, अभी डिमांड है OQ2. Now see the difference. Can you see this area A? This distance between T1 and T2 is A. The distance between Q1 and Q2 is B. Here what is happening? T distance is greater than distance A. मतलब प्राइस थोड़ा सा चेंज हुआ है, बट इन रिस्पॉन्स डिमांड ज्यादा चेंज हुआ. प्राइस थोड़ा सा इंक्रीज हुआ, बट डिमांड ने कैसा रिस्पॉन्स किया? मोर देन द चेंज इन प्राइस. राइट, लेट्स लुक एट न्यूमेरिकली कैसे होगा ये. चेंज इन प्राइस बाय 5%. कैन यू सी P1 से P2 चेंज कितना हुआ है? जस्ट 5%. विद दैट रिस्पॉन्स डिमांड रिड्यूस हो गया, डिमांड चेंज हो गया. डिमांड का चेंज कितना था? बाय 10%. Q1 से Q2 कितना चेंज हो गया? 10%. ग्रेटर देन 5%, मोर देन 5%. राइट, so let's put this in our formula, that is price elasticity of demand equals to percentage change in demand divided by percentage change in price. Right, percentage change in demand कितना है? 10%. by percentage change in price कितना है? 5%. The answer is 2 here. 2. This number is greater than 1. Right, अगर 1 होता तो हम यूनिटरी इलास्टिक कहते. राइट, अगर 0 होता, अगर इसका आंसर 0 आता तो हम उसको कहते दिस इज परफेक्टली इनइलास्टिक. अगर आंसर इनफाइनाइट आता तो हम कहते दिस इज परफेक्टली इलास्टिक. बट योर आंसर इज 2, दैट इज ग्रेटर देन 1. Right, hence here we say that price elasticity of demand is more than 1, is greater than 1. Right, this is relatively elastic demand. Moving on to the next one. This is the last, fifth and last point, last type of price elasticity of demand. This is relatively inelastic demand. Earlier what we studied was elastic. Now what we are studying is inelastic demand. Right? And change in price brings less than proportionate change in demand. It will be known as relatively inelastic demand. Meaning, let's look at the diagram. So understanding will be easier. So this is relatively inelastic. Remember, inelastic, correct? So perfectly inelastic was a vertical straight line. Now we have to make line or demand curve which is closer to the vertical straight line. How hoga? Steeper demand curve. Here we have drawn a steeper demand curve. Steeper demand curve किस तरह draw करेंगे? From the x-axis, y-axis draw कर लीजिए. y-axis के top से end से आप demand curve draw करना start कीजिए. Bring it till the mid of x-axis. Right? And what you will get is a steeper demand curve. Earlier what we were drawing was flatter demand curve. This is steeper demand curve. Right? So why steeper? Now let's see this one. Original price is OP1. Then price is OP1. OQ1. Right? Now okay. Yes, I just read the question. I will answer in after this. I'll answer in 2 minutes. Yes. Chaliye, let's just finish this. So OP1, right, is the price here. Then OP1 is the price. Your demand is OQ1. Now due to some reason price change. Price यहाँ पे increase हुआ है. देखिए OP2 price बढ़ गया. Price जैसे ही बढ़ेगा obviously demand कम होने वाला है. So new demand is OQ2. Right. Now look at the distance here. This P1, P2 में का distance is A. Here Q1, Q2 में के बीच में का distance is B. Here you can evidently see that price ज़्यादा बड़ा है. The change in price is greater than the change in demand. Change demand ने थोड़ा सा response दिया है. Price इतना बड़ा, इतना demand ने response नहीं किया है. Demand ने बहुत थोड़ा सा response किया है. Correct? So, meaning what? This is relatively inelastic demand. Let's look at the numerically. हम इसको कैसे कहेंगे? Change in price is 10%. Here see T1 से T2 बहुत ज़्यादा change हो गया by 10% से. Change in demand is by 5%. Q1 से Q2 change क्या है? Basically price change से कम हुआ है. Can be 9, can be 7, can be 8. But 10 और 10 से ज़्यादा चेंज नहीं हुआ है. जितना प्राइस में चेंज हुआ है उससे कम रिस्पॉन्स किया है डिमांड. करेक्ट. Here we have written is at 5%. So let's put this in the formula. Price elasticity of demand equals to percentage change in demand by percentage change in price. Let's put our numbers in this equation. 5% by 10% equals to answer आएगा 0.5. Now this is 0.5. ये 0 भी नहीं है और 1 भी नहीं है. This is between 0 and 1. Correct? So simply यहाँ पे देखिए, we will say this as 0.5 is obviously lesser than 1. Correct? So what is happening here is, due to this reason, the price elasticity of demand will always be in case of relatively inelastic demand. Price elasticity of demand will always be lesser than 1. Right? These are the 5 types of price elasticity of demand. Two are pole situations, meaning the reality won't be that. Pole situation जैसे north pole, south pole है. One is perfectly elastic, one is perfectly inelastic, right? और उसके बीच में we have 3 different other elasticity. The midpoint is unitary elastic, where responsiveness of demand is 1. जितना price change हो रहा है उतना ही demand भी change हो रहा है, correct? और इलास्टिक के पास, परफेक्ट इलास्टिक के पास जो है, वी कॉल दैट एज इलास्टिक डिमांड और रिलेटिवली इलास्टिक डिमांड. जो परफेक्टली इन इलास्टिक के पास है, वी कॉल दैट एज रिलेटिवली इन इलास्टिक डिमांड. रिलेटिवली इन इलास्टिक मतलब दिस डिमांड इज लेसर इलास्टिक, डिमांड इज रिस्पॉन्डिंग लेस. एंड relatively elastic means what? This is more elastic, demand is responding more. Correct? These are 5 types. Now okay, so there is this one question. Why does the demand not change when if the price changes? Simple चीज़ है देखिए. Let's take, as I already said, although I said कि this is a poor situation, that is reality में you may not find this, but still we have a example for this. That is, take an example of salt. Salt is an essential commodity, correct? सोचिए आपको पूरे महीने में, आपको घर में पूरे महीने में 1 kg ऑफ सॉल्ट आपको लगता है, राइट? बेसिक है, सॉल्ट तो लगता ही है हर एक इंसान को खाने में. तो अगर कल सॉल्ट का प्राइस बढ़ गया तो क्या आप खाने में सॉल्ट डालना बंद करेंगे? नहीं. यू विल स्टिल बाय 1 kg ऑफ सॉल्ट बिकॉज दैट इज योर बेसिक नेसेसिटी. उतना तो खाने में लगता ही है, करेक्ट? तो प्राइस अगर 5 रुपीज से 100 रुपीज भी हो गया, यू विल स्टिल continue buying salt 1 kg every month. The other situation, अगर salt का प्राइस कम हो गया, salt का प्राइस 1 rupee per kg हो गया, so are you going to use 2 kgs of salt in a month? आप खाने में ज्यादा salt डालोगे? No, बिल्कुल नहीं. Hence, this is one of the examples which I have given you for zero elasticity. Yes, that is inelastic demand. Right? So, देखिए. Now we have question. Let's see. If the price elasticity, you have already answered. The variety. Okay. If price elasticity of demand is 0, then the demand curve will be. Now, price elasticity is 0. Just think you have answered एकदम सब अलग-अलग लोगों ने अलग-अलग आंसर किया है. सोचिए. Just let's think about this question. Price elasticity of demand is 0. 0 means what? Demand is not responding to the change in price. तो प्राइस कितना भी हो, प्राइस 100 हो, 100 हो, 1 हो, 0 हो, demand is not responding at all. Correct? Meaning, whatever हमने जो x axis पे जो plot किया है, that is हमने x axis पे demand plot किया है. This demand is not changing. This demand is 5. प्राइस कितना भी हो, demand is 5 kg. Correct? So when we say demand is 5 kg, the demand curve is a vertical straight line at 5 kg. demand curve will be a vertical straight line at 5 kg, right? I'll just go behind and show you the diagram. I'll just go behind and show the diagram. So, आपको अच्छे और भी ये this is the diagram. Yes, ये diagram क्या कह रहा है देखिए O here OD is the 5 kg of salt का demand आपका महीने भर का, right? Price कितना भी ज़्यादा हो, price 0 हो, price कम हो, price can be 5, price can be 10, price can be 100. You are not going to change the demand. That is, this is a vertical straight line. Have you understood the answer? So let's go back to our question. Now answer कीजिए सब. Now what will be the answer? It is D. Right. This is a vertical straight line. Good. Have you understood so far? So this brings us to the end of price elasticity of demand, right? Now let's go to the next part. That is now we'll be studying income elasticity of demand. So प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी में देखिए क्या हो रहा है, प्राइस और डिमांड का रिलेशनशिप कैसा है, प्राइस और डिमांड का रिलेशनशिप इज नेगेटिव. प्राइस इंक्रीजेस, डिमांड फॉल्स, प्राइस falls, demand increases. There is a negative relationship between price and demand. So hence you get a downward sloping demand curve. Now what are we studying? The relationship between income and demand. In general sense, कभी कभी इंसान का इनकम बढ़ेगा, उस इंसान का डिमांड भी बढ़ेगा because he has more money right now in his hand, right, to spend. तो जैसे ही उसका इनकम बढ़ेगा, his demand also will increase. सेम सिचुएशन अगर किसी इंसान का इनकम कम हो गया तो उसका डिमांड भी कम हो जाएगा. व्हाई? बिकॉज स्पेंड करने के लिए उसके पास अभी पैसा कम अवेलेबल है. So the relationship between income and demand. Your income is independent variable and demand is dependent variable. Right? So income के ऊपर demand depend कर रहा है. Right? So there is a positive relationship between income and demand. Right? दोनों साथ में बढ़ेंगे, दोनों साथ में कम होंगे. That is positive relationship. So if you draw demand curve depending on income and if you draw demand curve considering the relationship between income and demand, we will get a positive demand curve, positively upward sloping demand curve. Can we call it positive demand curve or upward sloping demand curve as well? Correct? Chalo. Now let's see. Income elasticity of demand. Let's see it is the degree of responsiveness of demand to the change in income. Simple है, जहाँ पहले प्राइस था वहाँ हमने अभी इनकम लिखा है. You will get what income elasticity of demand. This is very easy, very similar. So formula is given YED. Y. In economics we denote income as Y. इनकम को आई से नहीं हम डिनोट करते. आई स्टैंड फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट. तो कभी आपको इनकम को डिनोट करना है, यू विल ऑलवेज यूज कैपिटल वाई. So income elasticity of demand equals to percentage or proportionate change in demand divided by percentage or proportionate change in income. Right? Let's just solve this the same way we did for price elasticity. Exactly same. हमने सिर्फ प्राइस की जगह क्या लिखा है? इनकम. P निकाल के हमने वहाँ पे Y लिखा है. That is the only difference here. So income elasticity equals to what we want here. My pointer. First we want percentage change in income. Change in demand by the original demand. This divided by change in income by original income. Right? This will give you percentage change in or proportionate change in income. Equal to same. ये जो न्यूमरेटर है एग्जैक्टली वैसा लिख दिया हमने. इस डिनोमिनेटर का डिनोमिनेटर ये जो y है यहाँ पे ऊपर आ जाएगा और डेल्टा y नीचे जाएगा. दिस इज ओनली ट्रिकी स्टेज और स्टेप, राइट. बाकी आगे हम सिर्फ उसको सिंप्लीफाई कर रहे हैं. वी आर जस्ट रीराइटिंग इट इन अ डिफरेंट वे. So let's rewrite it saying delta q into y divided by q into delta y. Again let's write it together. और जो डिनोमिनेटर है मैंने उसको सिर्फ जगह हमने यहाँ शिफ्ट कर दिया है, राइट. यहाँ पे ये जो डेल्टा y था वो यहाँ आ गया और q था वो यहाँ आ गया. Simply you write 2 into 4 or 4 into 2. The answer is going to be same. Finally we get the equation that is delta q by delta y into q into y by q. This is your final formula for income elasticity of demand. Now again we have to study certain types of income elasticity. So we have negative income elasticity, zero income elasticity, relative income inelastic demand, unitary income elastic demand, and relative income elastic demand. Let's start with negative income elasticity. Now, see, this is I am contradicting what I just said. मैंने कहा कि there is a positive relationship between income and demand, right? But here we have said negative relationship between. here हम कह रहे हैं negative income elasticity of demand. So when demand for commodity decreases when increase in income. Simple, we all have studied different goods, that is inferior goods. अगर इंसान का income बढ़ता है, you will stop consuming commodities which are inferior in quality. आप 2 rupees kg का राइस खरीदते थे, which was inferior in quality. Now जैसे ही आपका income बढ़ेगा, you will buy a better quality rice, say 5 rupees kg rice, right? So your demand for the inferior quality goods reduced. Right? So your income increased and demand for the inferior commodity reduced. There's a negative relationship that is only shown here. Let's see the diagram. Okay. Because it is negative income elasticity, the demand curve is negatively sloping or downward sloping. Right? DD is the demand curve. On y-axis here we have income and on x-axis we have demand. Right? So here I have written y increased and demand fell. Demand fell for what? Inferior commodity, right? There's negative relationship. Hence we get a downward sloping demand curve. Okay. Next type देखेंगे हम zero income elasticity of demand. Zero income. पहले अभी हमने negative देखा, अभी हम देखेंगे zero income elasticity. When demand for commodity does not change for any change in income, मतलब आपका demand बिल्कुल चेंज नहीं हो रहा for any change in income, that will be known as zero income elasticity. So natural goods like salt, again you can use salt का example. आपका income बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गया, बहुत जो rich लोग हैं, do they consume more salt? Very poor people, do they consume less salt? No. Salt is ऐसी commodity जो हर एक को एक equal amount में लगती है, right? So this can be the example of zero income elasticity. That is, due to any change in income, income बढ़े या कम हो, your demand for salt, commodity like salt is not changing. Let's look at the diagram. See, this diagram is same like हमने पहले जो diagram बनाया था for perfectly inelastic demand. Similar diagram है. यहाँ पे सिर्फ आपको y-axis पे income लिखना है, वहाँ पे हमने y-axis पे price लिखा था, right? Because this is nothing but income elasticity of demand. See, YED, Y stands for income. Income elasticity of demand is zero here. मतलब price कितना, income आपका कितना भी बढ़े, income कम हो, income ज़्यादा हो, income बढ़े, income कम हो, आप demand DD, that is OD, उतना ही demand करें, right? So this is a vertical demand curve which is parallel to the y-axis. Let's look at the third type. Relatively income inelastic demand. Right? Now, when change in demand for commodity is lesser than change in income, okay? इसका एग्जाम्पल उन्होंने कहा है necessities. Let's see the diagram, तो हमको ये और अच्छी तरह से समझे. Now onward, income elasticity के जो भी diagrams होंगे, they'll be positively sloping. Only first diagram was negatively sloping, and now onward it will be positively sloping. So your original income was OY1, income बढ़ गया OY2 हो गया. जैसे ही income बढ़ गया, देखिए OQ1 was the original demand, अभी इंसान का demand बढ़ के OQ2 हो गया. But look at the distance between Y1, Y2 and Q1, Q2. The distance between y1, y2 is A and distance between q1, q2 is C. A is greater, C is lesser. Meaning what has happened? आपका income का proportion काफी बढ़ गया है. But to that proportion, your demand has increased lesser. आपका income का proportion let's say 10% से बढ़ गया. But आपका demand सिर्फ 5% से या anything lesser than 10% से बढ़ा है. Let's look at numerically. Change in income is 10%, change in demand is by 5%, right? So, let's put it in the formula 5 by 10. Answer is 0.5, which is lesser than 1. Hence, your income elasticity of demand will always be lesser than 1. They have said necessities is the example. Simple चीज है, आप food grain लीजिए. आप घर में आपको राइस, जो भी लगता है उसका कंसिडर कीजिए. आपका इनकम जितना बढ़ेगा, क्या उतने प्रपोर्शन से आप ज्यादा खाना स्टार्ट करेंगे? 4 times a day you eat. आपका इनकम बढ़ गया. So will you start eating 8 times a day? No. Will eat 4 times a day only. Maybe you will include a better quality of food, or maybe you will include versatile food, but you will not start eating 8 times a day or 12 times a day, right? So hence the proportion is different. आपका इनकम जिस proportion से बढ़ेगा, उस proportion से आपका डिमांड नहीं बढ़ेगा, उससे कम आपका डिमांड बढ़ेगा. That is relatively income inelastic demand. नेक्स्ट देखिए यूनिटरी इनकम इलास्टिक डिमांड. यहाँ पे क्या कह रहे हैं? जितना आपका इनकम बढ़ेगा एग्जैक्टली उतना आपका डिमांड बढ़ेगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल दे हैव गिवन कंफर्ट, राइट? कंफर्ट जैसे फ्रिज, टीवी, लेट्स कॉल देम एज कंफर्ट. दे आर सेइंग कि जितना आपका इनकम बढ़ेगा उतना ही डिमांड बढ़ेगा. लेट्स लुक एट द डायग्राम. Here we will draw a 45-degree line from the origin. Origin से आप 45-degree line draw करोगे. This 45-degree line is at the equal distance from x-axis as well as y-axis. इस डिमांड कर्व पे, DD ये डिमांड कर्व पे जितने भी पॉइंट्स है वो सारे are at equal distance from x-axis as well as from y-axis. Your original income is say OY1 and original demand is OQ1. Now income increase, OY2 is the income. Hence the demand also increase. Your demand is OQ2. The distance between Y1, Y2 and Q1, Q2 is exactly same. A and A dash. This distance is same, right? Hence this is known as क्या? जितना आपका income बढ़ रहा है उतना ही आपका demand भी बढ़ रहा है. Change in income is by 10%, hence and change in demand is also by 10%. 10% by 10%, 1. Answer is 1, that is unit. Hence this type of elasticity will be known as unitary income elastic demand. Let's look at the relatively income elastic demand, fourth type. This here says when change in demand for commodity is greater than change in income. Right? This is the typical example of luxurious goods. मतलब, look at the diagram. To understand it के लिए, okay. Here what are they saying? आपका इनकम जितना बढ़ेगा ना उससे ज्यादा आपका डिमांड बढ़ेगा, right? Let's consider आपको लग्जरियस आइटम आपको डायमंड पिन खरीदना है. आपका इनकम बढ़ने के बाद भी आपकी एक महीने की सैलरी में शायद डायमंड ना आए. You will have to use your past savings as well to buy one diamond, right? Hence they are saying आपका इनकम तो बढ़ा पर आपका डिमांड आपकी इनकम के प्रोपोर्शन से ज्यादा बढ़ा. Why? Because you use your past savings as well, or you bought some loan to invest in some luxurious commodity. So here see the distance between A and B. A जो distance है Y1, Y2 is lesser and Q1, Q2 this distance is greater, right? तो आपका इनकम कम बढ़ा है पर उसके प्रोपोर्शन से आपका डिमांड ज्यादा इंक्रीज हुआ है. Change in income is by 5%, change in demand is by 10%. So, let's put this in the formula. We get answer 10 by 5. We get 2. 2 is greater than 1. Hence, here we say that elasticity of demand will always be greater than 1. So, this is known as relatively income elastic demand. इसका example हम क्या कहेंगे? Luxurious commodity. Okay. So, now let's look at the question. If income elasticity for the household is for a good A is any commodity. If commodity A is 2, क्या कह रहे हैं? Income elasticity कितना है? 2 है. तो कौन सा तरीके की कमोडिटी होगी? Then this एक commodity is what? Can you answer this for me? Yes. See, दो मतलब is more than one, is greater than one. When we say income elasticity is 2, means it is greater than 1. Here, simple चीज है, the commodity has to be a luxurious commodity. Why luxurious commodity? क्योंकि हमने कहा था, you will also use your past savings to buy a diamond, right? Hence, the correct answer is luxurious commodity, right? चलिए next one. Let's look at the cross elasticity of demand. Now, what is cross elasticity of demand? So far, हम लोग कंसिडर कर रहे थे एक कमोडिटी का प्राइस और उसी कमोडिटी का डिमांड. यस, कमोडिटी ए जैसे सॉल्ट है, सॉल्ट का प्राइस और सॉल्ट का ही डिमांड. कंसिडर करेंगे सॉल्ट का प्राइस, डिमांड और शुगर का प्राइस. वील सी कि एक कमोडिटी के डिमांड पे दूसरे कमोडिटी का प्राइस किस तरह से अफेक्ट करता है. So we will consider two commodities, commodity X and commodity Y. We have two commodities, one is commodity X and second one is commodity Y. So हम consider करने वाले commodity X का demand and commodity Y का price. Let's look at the formula. It is the degree of responsiveness of demand of one commodity, that is commodity X, to the change in price of the other commodity, that is commodity Y. Correct? तो क्रॉस इलास्टिक, कैन यू सी क्रॉस हमने कहा है, क्रॉस मतलब क्या? इसका प्राइस और उसका डिमांड. फॉर्मूला देखिए, परसेंटेज ऑफ प्रोपोर्शनेट चेंज इन डिमांड ऑफ कमोडिटी एक्स डिवाइडेड बाय परसेंटेज ऑफ प्रोपोर्शनेट चेंज इन प्राइस ऑफ कमोडिटी वाई. लेट्स गो अहेड, एग्जैक्टली सेम वी हैव डन, इसमें हमने कुछ अलग नहीं किया है. इंस्टेड ऑफ क्यू वी हैव रिटन क्यू एक्स, दैट इज quantity of commodity X, and instead of P we have written PY, that is price of commodity Y, right? So formula in the ending what we get is here, look at the pointer, that delta QX, that is change in demand of commodity X divided by change in price of commodity Y into original price of commodity Y divided by original quantity of commodity X. Right? We have used the same formula throughout. यही हमको formula use करना है. चलिए, let's look at the types. So there are three types basically: positive cross elasticity, negative cross elasticity, and zero cross elasticity. Let's first see positive cross elasticity. Due to increase in price of one commodity, demand for other commodity will increase. This, with the fall in price of one commodity, demand for other commodity decreases. Let's look at what we have written. Let's pick up two commodities. I say these two commodities are substitute for each other. When we say substitute for each other, अगर ये नहीं है तो ये भी चलेगा. जैसे फुटबॉल ग्राउंड पे आप देखते हैं, एक प्लेयर बाहर आता है तो दूसरा प्लेयर अंदर जाता है, मैच का कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता, मैच गोज ऑन. तो सब्स्टिट्यूट मतलब ये नहीं है तो ये भी चलेगा. सिंपल चीज है. अगर आपको चाय नहीं मिला तो कॉफी पी लेंगे, राइट? So tea and coffee are nothing but substitutes of each other. Here we are saying price of tea and quantity demanded of coffee. So just follow the pointer. Price of tea increases. जैसे price का tea का price increase होगा, tea का demand will fall, quantity of tea will fall. अभी लोग चाय नहीं पी रहे, मतलब क्या कर रहे हैं लोग? कॉफी पी रहे हैं. Hence price quantity demanded of coffee will increase. Just look what I have underlined here. Price of tea increases, quantity of coffee increases, दोनों साथ में बढ़ा, means there is a positive relationship between price of tea and quantity of coffee. Correct? Can you see the positive relationship between price of tea and quantity of coffee? Same way, अगर tea का price reduce हो गया, quantity of tea will increase, people will demand more tea. अगर लोग ज्यादा टी डिमांड कर रहे हैं मतलब कॉफी का डिमांड ऑटोमेटिकली रिड्यूस हुआ है. So let's look where we have underlined. Price of tea reduced, hence क्वांटिटी डिमांडेड ऑफ कॉफी ऑल्सो रिड्यूस, दोनों साथ में कम हुए हैं, right? So simple चीज है here. What does this mean is there is a positive relationship between price of tea and quantity of coffee. This is known as positive cross elasticity of demand, right? So positive cross elasticity किसमें होती है? Whenever commodities are substitutes of each other, they enjoy positive cross elasticity of demand. You can see the diagram. It is a positive, that is upward sloping demand curve. On y-axis we have price of commodity Y, and on x-axis we have demand of commodity X. Meaning यहाँ पे हमने price of tea लिया है और यहाँ पे हमने quantity of coffee लिया है, right? Next one. Now same way positive, let's look at the negative cross elasticity of demand. Due to increase in price of one commodity, demand for other commodity will decrease. With the fall in price of one commodity, demand for other commodity increases. Let's see what does this mean. Okay. So here we have taken two commodities, that is car and petrol. So car and petrol are complementary goods. मतलब अगर कार लिया तो पेट्रोल लगेगा ही, अगर कार नहीं है तो पेट्रोल की कोई जरूरत नहीं. These two commodities work hand in hand together, right? So see, हमने कंसिडर किया है प्राइस ऑफ कार का प्राइस इंक्रीज हो गया, पीपल विल नॉट बाय कार, और अगर लोग कार खरीदेंगे नहीं तो उनको पेट्रोल लगेगा क्या? नहीं लगेगा. Hence automatically the demand of petrol will increase, demand of petrol will decrease. Look at the next situation. Price of car reduced, कार सस्ते हो गए, everyone will buy कार का डिमांड बढ़ गया. अभी कार का डिमांड बढ़ गया मतलब पेट्रोल भी तो लगेगा. So here you can see quantity demanded of petrol also increased. Let's look at the underlying equation. Price of car increased, quantity of petrol decreased. Price of car decreased, quantity of petrol increased. There is a negative relationship between here. So whenever two commodities enjoy negative cross elasticity, these two commodities have to be complementary goods, right? Pen and paper, chalk and duster, these are complementary goods of each other, right? So whenever two commodities are complementary, they enjoy negative cross elasticity of demand. और उनका डायग्राम देखिए कैसा होगा. नेगेटिव रिलेशनशिप है तो दे विल हैव अ डाउनवर्ड स्लोपिंग डिमांड कर्व. अभी नेक्स्ट वाला इज वेरी इजी. नेक्स्ट वाला इज व्हाट? जीरो क्रॉस elasticity of demand. मीनिंग ये दो गुड्स है ना, दे आर नॉट रिलेटेड टू ईच अदर, बिल्कुल कुछ संबंध ही नहीं है इन दोनों का आपस में. इसलिए एक कमोडिटी का प्राइस कम हो या ज्यादा हो, दूसरे कमोडिटी के डिमांड पे कुछ भी असर नहीं होगा. फॉर एग्जांपल आई हैव टेकन टू गुड्स, पेन एंड मिल्क, आपस में कुछ संबंध नहीं है. पेन का प्राइस बढ़ गया, पेन का डिमांड कम हो गया. इसकी वजह से मिल्क के प्राइस में कोई भी डिफरेंस आने वाला है? बिल्कुल नहीं. मिल्क का प्राइस विल बी, मिल्क का डिमांड विल बी सेम. पेन का प्राइस कम हो गया, पेन का डिमांड बढ़ेगा. इसकी वजह से मिल्क के डिमांड में कुछ भी डिफरेंस आने वाला है? बिल्कुल नहीं. So these two goods are unrelated. Whenever two goods are unrelated, meaning they are not complementary or they are not substitutes of each other, they enjoy zero cross elasticity of demand. Now look at here. On y-axis we have price of Y, commodity Y, and on x-axis we have demand of commodity X. The diagram here which you can see is a vertical straight line. मतलब price of pen बढ़े या कम हो, डिमांड ऑफ मिल्क उतना ही रहने वाला है. डिमांड ऑफ मिल्क में कुछ भी चेंज नहीं होने वाला है ड्यू टू चेंज इन द प्राइस ऑफ कमोडिटी वाई. अगर मिल्क का प्राइस कम या ज्यादा होगा तो ऑब्वियसली मिल्क का डिमांड में डिफरेंस आएगा, पर मिल्क का डिमांड इज गोना बी, इट विल स्टे अनचेंज ड्यू टू चेंज इन प्राइस ऑफ पेन, right? This is nothing but cross elasticity of demand. Now last very small thing. This is a very एक ही हमको इसमें पढ़ना है टाइप, दैट इज प्रमोशनल इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ डिमांड और एडवर्टाइजिंग इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ डिमांड. सिंपल चीज है, यू सी हंड्रेड्स ऑफ एड्स एवरी डे, राइट? उनका बहुत ज्यादा कॉस्टिंग होता है, उनको सेलिब्रिटीज लगते हैं या लोकेशन पे शूट होता है, अलग अलग एड एजेंसीज को पैसा देना पड़ता है. तो एडवर्टाइजिंग कॉस्ट इज वेरी हाई. In spite of that, all the firms will invest in advertising cost. क्यों? Because it is believed that आप जितना ज्यादा एडवर्टाइजिंग करोगे उतना अफेक्ट आपके डिमांड, उतना अफेक्ट आपके सेल्स पे होगा, राइट? तो जिस भी कमोडिटी का Here they are saying, okay. See, promotional elasticity को हमने again same formula we use. It is a degree of responsiveness of demand to the change in promotional expenditure. Promotional expenditure is nothing but advertising expenditure. Formula says percentage of proportionate change in demand divided by percentage of proportionate change in expenditure. Right? We will put this in our usual formula. जहाँ हमने क्वांटिटी है वहाँ क्वांटिटी ही रखेंगे. जहाँ हमने प्राइस लिखा था earlier, now we change that as PE. Where PE stands for promotional expenditure. Remember here PE stands for promotional expenditure. Right? So the final formula what we have is change in quantity divided by change in promotional expenditure into the original promotional expenditure divided by the quantity. Right? This is about promotional elasticity. इसका एक ही टाइप हम पढ़ेंगे. देखिए, relatively elastic demand. So whenever any firm, कोई भी firm advertising क्यों करेगा? जब उनको लगा है कि हाँ इससे हमारा सेल ज्यादा हो रहा है, that time only they will spend on advertisement. Right? So this is relatively elastic demand, which means आप जितना ज्यादा एडवर्टाइजिंग पे खर्चा कर रहे हो उससे कहीं ज्यादा आपका सेल इंक्रीज हो रहा है. आपने 5% एडवर्टाइजमेंट पे खर्चा किया और आपका डिमांड उसकी वजह से 10% से बढ़ गया. ये तो बहुत कंपनी के लिए प्रॉफिट सिचुएशन हो गया. करेक्ट? Any firm will spend on advertisement only when they have positive elasticity of demand. When change in demand for commodity is greater than the change in promotional expenditure. मैं 5 रुपया स्पेंड कर रही हूँ फॉर एडवर्टाइजमेंट और उससे मेरा 10 रुपीज का सेल बढ़ रहा है. मेरे लिए तो विन विन सिचुएशन है फॉर एनी फर्म. Whenever any firm enjoys positive promotional elasticity, only then they will spend huge amount on advertisement. The 3D diagram of this. Simple. पॉजिटिव स्लोपिंग डायग्राम, बिकॉज एडवर्टाइजमेंट का एक्सपेंडिचर बढ़ेगा उतना ही आपका डिमांड भी बढ़ने वाला है. हेंस इट इज दोनों आर मूविंग टुगेदर. पॉजिटिव स्लोपिंग डायग्राम. तो यहाँ पे देखिए हमने लिखा है चेंज इन टोटल एक्सपेंडिचर इज बाय 5% एंड चेंज इन डिमांड इज बाय 10%. आपने 5% इंक्रीज किया इन योर एडवर्टाइजमेंट और ड्यू टू विच आपका सेल, आपका डिमांड मार्केट में इंक्रीज हुआ बाय 10%. Let's put it in the formula. The answer is 2, 10 by 5, which is greater than 1, meaning it is positive. Hence, here हमने लिखा है elasticity of demand will always be greater than 1. Right? और यहाँ जो diagram हमने बनाया है, it is a flatter diagram. Correct? Here the distance between A is small and distance of B is greater than the distance between A. Right? This is promotional elasticity of demand. Okay. So this we have studied all the different types of elasticity: price, income, cross, and promotional. Let's go to one question. Can you answer this for me, everyone? If the price of good A increases, there are two commodities: commodity 1 and commodity B. Okay, if the price of good A increases, the demand for its substitute good. Basically, what we are saying, good A and good B are substitutes of each other. That is, they are tea and coffee. So, अगर tea का price बढ़ गया, what will happen to the demand of B, coffee? That is the question here. Can you answer this for me? Yes, or correct answer is option A. Correct answer is option A. कैसे A होगा? देखिए, whenever two commodities are substitute of each other, the cross elasticity will always be positive. टी का प्राइस बढ़ गया तो कॉफी का डिमांड बढ़ेगा. क्यों? Because people will stop consuming tea and will consume more of coffee. अगर टी का प्राइस कम हो गया तो कॉफी का डिमांड भी कम होगा. Why? People will stop consuming coffee and consume more of tea. Why? Because अभी टी सस्ता होगी. Correct? So the correct answer here will be option A. That is, increase increases. Fine. Seven. We are going to study importance of elasticity of demand. So we have to study some core importance of elasticity of demand, for which we'll also use very first one. Importance of elasticity of demand. Very first हम कह रहे हैं बिजनेसमैन इसको किस तरह से यूज करें. किसी भी बिजनेसमैन का बेसिक मोटिव क्या होता है? He wants to make more profit, ज्यादा पैसा कमाना, right? तो सिंपल चीज है, ज्यादा पैसा किस तरह से कमा पाएगा कोई भी बिजनेसमैन? वन, by reducing cost, or two, by increasing the price of its commodity. So here they are saying कि आप कौन से commodity का price बढ़ाओगे तो business को profit होगा, right? So there are two commodities, commodity A and commodity B. Commodity A is elastic in nature and commodity B is inelastic in nature, right? अभी commodity A के बारे में सबसे पहले consider कीजिए. कमोडिटी ए में देखिए हमने क्या किया, प्राइस हमने 5% से बढ़ाया. जैसे ही हमने प्राइस 5% से बढ़ाया, उसका डिमांड 10% से डिक्रीज हो गया. देयर इज अ लॉस यहाँ पे. मैं अगर थोड़ा भी प्राइस हम इधर बढ़ाते हैं तो हमारा डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा कम होने वाला है. दिस इज नॉट अ गुड सिचुएशन. Whereas look at commodity B, यहाँ हमने प्राइस 10% से बढ़ाया है, राइट? और इन स्पाइट ऑफ दैट आपका डिमांड सिर्फ 5% से फॉल हुआ है, राइट? डिमांड 10%, 15%, 20% से फॉल नहीं हुआ है, राइट? 10% से हमने बढ़ाया, इन स्पाइट ऑफ दैट डिमांड सिर्फ 5% से फॉल हुआ है, राइट? तो सिंपल चीज है, व्हाट विल अ बिजनेसमैन डू? बिजनेसमैन विल सेट लो प्राइसेस इफ द कमोडिटी ही इज सेलिंग इज इलास्टिक इन नेचर. Where commodity is inelastic in nature, then he will set high price. Whenever commodity is elastic, businessmen will set low prices and earn profit. Whenever commodity is inelastic, businessmen will set high prices and earn more profit. This is how businessmen will use elasticity of demand. Second one, tax policy. Now businessmen, along with businessmen, government will also use tax elasticity of demand to determine कितना tax rate होना चाहिए, right? So there are basically two commodities again here, commodity X and commodity Y. Commodity X is elastic, commodity Y is inelastic, right? Let's say commodity X is chocolate and commodity Y again let's take cigarette. Now commodity X is elastic meaning अगर इसका प्राइस आपने बहुत बढ़ा दिया तो डिमांड भी कम हो, people will stop buying chocolate. But commodity Y is inelastic meaning what is happening here? अगर आपने इसका प्राइस कितना भी बढ़ा दो, people who are addicted to it will still consume this commodity, right? तो डिमांड में बहुत ज्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं होने वाला है. So let's look at the next point, that is price. मार्केट में किसी भी कमोडिटी का प्राइस किस तरह से डिटरमाइन होता है? Price equals to cost of the production of that particular commodity plus tax, right? Say chocolate का cost of production is ₹9. और गवर्नमेंट ने उसके ऊपर 1 रुपी का टैक्स इम्पोज किया, right? So 9 plus 1, that will give you price of the chocolate as ₹10. सेम है सिगरेट के बारे में. देखिए सिगरेट का कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन इज से 8 रुपीज, गवर्नमेंट ने उसके ऊपर 6 रुपीज का टैक्स इम्पोज किया है, राइट? तो 8 plus 6 that is 15 rupees will be the price of this cigarette. नेक्स्ट देखिए, तो सिंपल चीज है, अगर गवर्नमेंट टैक्स इंक्रीज करता है the price of the commodity also will increase. गवर्नमेंट अगर टैक्स रिड्यूस करता है तो प्राइस ऑफ द कमोडिटी ऑल्सो विल रिड्यूस. जब प्राइस बढ़ेगा ऑब्वियसली डिमांड रिड्यूस होगा, जब प्राइस रिड्यूस होगा डिमांड बढ़ेगा, राइट? सो दैट्स हाउ टैक्स विल अफेक्ट डिमांड. किसी भी कमोडिटी के ऊपर अगर टैक्स ज्यादा इम्पोज करोगे उसका डिमांड मार्केट में कम होगा। किसी भी कमोडिटी के ऊपर अगर आप कम टैक्स इम्पोज करेंगे गवर्नमेंट तो उस कमोडिटी का डिमांड ऑटोमेटिकली बढ़ जाएगा बिकॉज उसका प्राइस कम हो जाएगा, राइट। नाउ हाउ विल गवर्नमेंट इम्पोज टैक्स? गवर्नमेंट को देखिए, दे वांट अ वेलफेयर ऑफ द सोसाइटी। उनको एक हेल्दी बिजनेस एटमॉस्फेयर चाहिए इकोनॉमी में। तो फर्स्ट दे विल स्टडी द इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर कमोडिटी। उन्होंने चॉकलेट और सिगरेट इन दोनों के ऊपर उनको टैक्स इम्पोज करना है। उन्होंने देखा नहीं चॉकलेट इज इलास्टिक, अगर चॉकलेट के ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा टैक्स इम्पोज करोगे तो चॉकलेट का डिमांड कम हो जाएगा एंड जो फर्म्स विच आर प्रोड्यूसिंग चॉकलेट उनका लॉसेस हो जाएगा। So in this situation, they will impose lesser tax on chocolate, right? And they will consider cigarette. Now, cigarette ऐसा commodity है जो inelastic है in nature. मतलब आप इसके ऊपर कितना भी ज्यादा टैक्स इम्पोज करो, people who are addicted to it, they will still buy, they will still consume cigarettes. So government will impose higher tax on cigarettes, right? जिसकी वजह से देखिए वन मोर थिंग, गवर्नमेंट को एक तो प्रॉफिट होने जिससे रेवेन्यू मिलने वाला है, जो फर्म प्रोड्यूसिंग सिगरेट दे विल आल्सो रन एंड अनदर एस्पेक्ट टू दिस इज इट्स नॉट अ गुड कमोडिटी, सो गवर्नमेंट वांट्स टू रिड्यूस द प्रोडक्शन, रिड्यूस द यूज ऑफ दिस कमोडिटी, हेंस दे विल इंपोज हायर टैक्स ऑन सिगरेट, राइट। दिस इज हाउ टैक्स पॉलिसी यूज करता है इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ डिमांड। नेक्स्ट वन देखिए, foreign trade policy. Now this is important part. Here we are talking about devaluation of your currency. Now what is devaluation of the currency? हम सबको पता है $1 equals to 50 rupees is the rate of your currency, right? Is the foreign exchange rate. आपको $1 खरीदना आपको 50 rupees देने पड़ेंगे. This is your foreign exchange rate. Now when we say devaluation of the currency, meaning in international market our currency is cheaper. Suppose you are an American citizen, you want to buy some rupees, Indian currency. आप $1 दोगे, आपको 50 rupees मिलेगा, right? When Indian government will devaluate the currency, तब क्या होगा? आप जब $1 दोगे, आपको उसके रिटर्न में 70 rupees मिलेगा. That is now Indian currency is cheaper. Indian currency international market में सस्ता हो गया है. That is known as devaluation. ये गवर्नमेंट खुद से इम्पोज करेगा. They will devaluate the currency. Why will they devaluate the currency? To control imports and exports. And let's take two currencies. Yes, here is import of one commodity and export of commodity B. एक commodity A is there and commodity B is there. Commodity A is elastic in nature. Both the commodities we are seeing are elastic in nature. Right? Let's say commodity A is chocolate, right? जो आप foreign country से लाओ, and commodity B is rice जो आप foreign country में export करो. We are taking two commodities. One is commodity A and other is commodity B. Both are elastic in nature. So when government devaluates the currency, पहले इंडियन करेंसी का वैल्यू वाज $1.50. अभी डिवैल्यूएशन किया, याद रखिए जब आप डिवैल्यूएशन करेंगे द करेंसी विल इंक्रीज. ये जो पहले 50 था वो अभी 100 होगा. वाई? बिकॉज इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में अपना करेंसी चीप सस्ता हुआ है. तो पहले $1 was for 50, now $1 was for 50 rupees, now $1 is for 100 rupees. Imagine आप एक चॉकलेट यूएस में इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं. ये चॉकलेट का प्राइस वाज $1. अर्लियर आपको ये चॉकलेट के लिए 50 रुपए देने पड़ते थे. आफ्टर डिवैल्यूएशन आपको वही सेम क्वालिटी चॉकलेट के लिए एक चॉकलेट खरीदने के लिए आपको 100 रुपीज देने पड़ रहे. कैन यू सी नाउ योर आफ्टर यू प्राइस हैज इंक्रीज्ड ऑफ द सेम चॉकलेट ड्यू टू डिवैल्यूएशन. So obviously what will you do is you will reduce the consumption of this chocolate and due to that import will reduce. जब भी कभी गवर्नमेंट को import reduce करना है they will devaluate the currency. Same as look at this other side, devaluation of currency same from 50 to 100 हुआ है. But here what are you doing? Here we are exporting rice. पहले 1 kg राइस हम 50 रुपीज में एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे थे, right? For any foreign, say any US citizen was paying $1 for 1 kg of rice. In Indian currency, it was 50 rupees, right? Now after devaluation, what will happen? वही 1 kg rice, जब any foreign citizen, any US citizen आपको $1 देगा, you have to give him 2 kgs of rice. Why? Because now the currency का वैल्यू कितना है? $1 का वैल्यू इज 100 रुपीज. 100 रुपीज में तो 2 kg राइस आएगा. So this is good for US citizen or this is good for foreign citizens. Earlier they were giving $1, उनको रिटर्न में 1 kg राइस मिल रहा था. Now they are giving $1, उनको रिटर्न में 2 kgs of राइस मिल रहा है. So win-win situation for foreign citizens. Hence, here what will happen? Exports will increase. So whenever how government of India will use elasticity, they will consider, acha, these commodities are elastic in nature. So what they will do is to reduce the import and to increase exports, they will devaluate the currency. Remember, once again, when we devaluate the currency, price, denominator of the money will increase. जैसे पहले 50 था, अभी हो जाएगा 100. Right? That is known as devaluation. Okay. One more point was there. Let's just go quickly behind. Okay, one more point was there. The importance of elasticity of demand में. Last point देखिए, agriculture pricing policy. In agriculture pricing policy, what will happen? Commodity का demand, ये जो food grains हैं, इनका demand is same. जैसे कि आप एक महीने में 5 kg of rice कंज्यूम करते हो. Tomorrow rice का प्राइस कम या ज्यादा हो जाए, are you going to increase or reduce your consumption? No, because 5 kg is the basic minimum requirement for you, right? तो प्राइस ज्यादा भी हो जाए, आप 5 kg ही कंज्यूम करने वाले हो. Due to this reason, what happens is, why do you find this India में farmers are poor? This is the reason. Yes, why? Because the demand for food grain is inelastic. Price में कितना भी कम नीचे ऊपर नीचे हो जाए, you are not going to change your demand. That is the whole point. Why the farmers are poor here. So to increase the standard of living of farmers, government has to intervene. Government क्या करता है? वो before the harvesting season, they decide wheat का price this year will be ₹10. Rice का price this year will be ₹12. Right? Irrespective of the production of wheat and rice and wheat will be sold and bought at that particular price. उसमें कोई change नहीं होगा. Next year again, to improve the standard of living of farmers, what will government do? Last year rice was 10 rupees, now, so this time it will be 12 rupees. Last time the wheat was 9 rupees, so this time it will be 13 rupees. They will slowly and gradually increase the price of food grain, जिसके वजह से अगर शॉर्टेज ऑफ कमोडिटी है, शॉर्टेज ऑफ फूड ग्रेन है, तो कंज्यूमर को प्रॉब्लम ना हो, और अगर एक्सेस प्रोडक्शन हुआ है तो फार्मर को प्रॉब्लम ना हो. राइट? दैट्स हाउ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया विल यूज एग्रीकल्चर प्राइसिंग पॉलिसी. नॉट जस्ट गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, ऑल द गवर्नमेंट्स इन द वर्ल्ड विल यूज इलास्टिसिटी फॉर फॉलोइंग रीजन: business, taxation, foreign trade policy, and agriculture pricing policy. Right? With this, we are finished studying elasticity of demand. You have any questions? That is 3rd December at 11:30. We will have lecture for chapter number 3, that is consumer surplus. Okay. So hope to see you all tomorrow. See, cross elasticity we have already given you different examples. Income elasticity also have different examples. Now price elasticity, see, what happens is you have pole situation, one is north pole, one is south pole, और उसके बीच में the reality exists. Right? हमने कहा salt is what? Perfectly inelastic. तो perfectly elastic क्या होगा? डायमंड. अगर डायमंड का प्राइस कल एकदम चेंज हो जाए, डायमंड एकदम सस्ते हो जाए, everyone will go and buy diamond. Diamond का demand will increase infinite. Correct? So simple चीज है. One example will be salt and the other will be diamond, and the reality will be between. Question answer session. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.